Good Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to my channel, Watch Your Mouth Reviews. This is your boy James, where I am here to give my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. It's not going to happen in this video, but that's all right. We'll live to fight another day. Joining me as always is my co-host, Mrs. Beth. I'll say what's up to her.
Hi, happy holidays. I almost didn't make it, but I'm here. We canceled the music review. I don't want to hear that stuff. I'd rather be here, honestly. So, hey,
I
y'all.
appreciate and that is why she's my best friend, y'all. She always makes time for me, always, no matter what happens. So, you know what y'all can do for us, especially Mrs. Best, and she took time out of her busy schedule to be here with me because she said she'd rather be with me. Subscribe to her channel. Get her algorithm. Get see us every Tuesday and Wednesday night talking about Love and Hip Hop Miami, which we go in on. Talking about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which we pick apart. Go ahead and subscribe to her channel so you can see us do all that because we definitely get in on the videos. We don't spare no expense on somebody ass in that video. I promise you not. So if you like a good time, that's where you need to be.
Thank you. Thank you. I should have hired you for marketing. I should have hired you.
Everyone tells me I'm good at it, but I suck at it. I promise you, because I can't even market my own shit. But
What?
anyway,
No.
let's get into the video because this is Love and Marriage. Oop, I need to edit the title. It's just say Love and Marriage. I didn't put the Huntsville up there. Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 9, episode 8, Stirring the Pot Over Drinks. Interesting title, but okay, Carlos, I see you. So the episode opens up where it left off. We were on that cliffhanger with Ken making this wonderful speech about how, he's a real parent and he respects real fathers for getting out there and doing what they got to do for the kids. And little did he know Marquez was slithering as, the Grand Dame, Karen Hooger, who's currently under a guilty plea right now. And actually was, as she would say, slithered. He slithered and said, "Hey, I'm the father. Yeah, me. I'm the father. These my kids. I'm the father." And boy, did that make Ken mad. Ken bit that bottom lip and was like, "God damn it, I told him not to come up here and do this." And I don't blame Marquez. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like, "Yo, James, he wasn't there for them kids. He left the house." Yes, he did, and he was wrong. But when I show up and when I'm present, what you're not going to do is sit up here and act like these are your kids between you and Trisha, and I'm just excluded out the picture.
That's
I'm
right.
present.
Ken also threw shade. I had texted James about that because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like that. I don't think Marquez would have got up to say anything. It seemed like he was really trying to do the right thing, but you could tell it was hard for him. And now I'm starting to understand why. Ken said in his speech, if everybody rewatches it, he started talking about, he said, me and Trish, kids. But then he said, because, the fathers that don't be there for their kids, he made a comment like that in the speech. He threw shade and a dig at Marquez. But then in the previous episode, you was making it seem like you get where he coming from and you open and just all he got to do is show up, which Trish keeps saying too. But from what we've seen, whenever Marquez does show up, y'all make it difficult, y'all make it hard. He's made to feel like an outsider around his own children. And clearly, what James is going to go over probably next, like based on how his kids reacted to his behavior, they reacted with love versus anger, which tells me that he may have not been the best father that he could be with the breakup and demise of the marriage, but maybe prior to that, he was actually there for them kids because they do know who he is, especially
Right.
the boy graduating. They know who he is. So I'm not saying this man's the best father, but we can't judge him just based off of what Trish and her new man that she met while she was still with her ex-man have to say. Lying ass Trish. I'm not just going to believe one side of the story.
Me either. And that's why I'm glad that he actually walked up there and spilled a little speech. Was it messy? Absolutely. But I don't care because Ken shouldn't even have came out that his mouth and said that. So,
Only known them for 5 years. That's the
right.
only truth that we can confirm. You've only been in Trisha's life for 5 years and probably her kid's life for less time. So don't make it seem like it's all you or like what you have done in a 3 to 5 year period is going to make up for 17 years of him raising the boy and
Exactly.
another 12 for the girl. Don't do that.
Exactly. And that's what we all are missing. Him and Trish are still married. And we're married with these children on this. It wasn't until things got hard for them is when they stopped. But when they stopped, it was well over a decade for each child. So it's like I could see if he wasn't there since birth, then yes, we would have a different conversation here. But he just recently got out of the house. It wasn't like it was. So Ken can miss me with that. So everyone's like laughing because they can't believe he did that. And at the cast table, everyone gets up to go get them something to eat or drink. And all that's left at the table is Melody and Maurice. So Melody takes this moment to talk to Maurice about, the DUI. And she was just saying that, at this point, what would have caused you to do that? Because when you got your DUI and everything, I thought that was really hard, especially because you're always trying to be the voice of reason when it comes to this show or it comes to the cast. And he goes, well, let me stop you right there because you don't know what you're talking about. Do you know what happened? And she goes, yeah, there's a police report. He goes, oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. You weren't there. So you don't know what's true and what's not true. And I was the only person there. And Mel was like, so there wasn't a cop there. There wasn't, someone who had a police report. They weren't there. And he goes, no, they were there. Absolutely. And see, and this is what I be talking about with them Scott brothers. What they try to do is they try to confuse you using big words and manipulating tactics to get you to the point where you're exhausted from having the conversation. So that way they don't have to be accountable or address anything. That's what they like to do. Marceau does it to Tisha, and Tisha, because she's not quick with her thoughts and processes, and she just accepts it. Same thing with Kimmy. I feel like Kimmy does this too, where she kind of either she doesn't want to fight with him because she realizes she doesn't get anywhere, or she gets genuinely just as confused as most people would. But I wasn't confused by anything. We saw the facts. You got arrested. You have a mugshot. You wouldn't have either if the police did not arrest you and there's not a report on you. So let's not act like that didn't happen. And then what also Melody brought up in that conversation was, well, why didn't you make a statement? Why didn't you say, I could have taken the life of someone? And Mel mentions to him that she lost her grandmother to a drunk driver. And he says, oh, so that's what it is. You're basically projecting that onto me and making it seem like I'm responsible when something like that happens for your pain. And that's not what Melody was saying. Melody's saying you're on a public platform and you have a voice of reason that you like to carry on the show. Why couldn't you do that after you got your DUI? But instead, you went back to the place and partied it up again as if it didn't matter. Because we all saw that on social media. So, I don't know. Mrs. Best, how did you feel about that exchange between Maurice and Melody?
Maurice, just tell her it's none of her business and that you don't want to talk about it or incriminate yourself further until the case has been gone to trial or seen it before a judge, whatever the hell. Just tell her that. I don't like about the Scott brothers and Kimmy and Letitia how when it comes to something that they don't want to be out there or, want to be discussed by the public, like they just kind of dismiss it and talk in circles and gaslight people. And it's extremely annoying. That's all Maurice had to say. It's not anyone's business. As an attorney, I would tell my clients, I don't want y'all to speak about this publicly to hurt yourself in the case. So he should have used that and spoke to her. I thought for sure he would have said that, but he didn't. But at the same time, Melody, I do get the energy from Melody that she is just enjoying the fact that these people are now getting caught up in scandals just as much as she was with Martell. I think Melody got a chip on her shoulder because they did not empathize with her in a way that was appropriate or in a way that she needed when she went through all the drama with Martell. And so now you could tell that anytime some shit go down with one of them, Melody's just over there happy and cackling. And that's fine to a certain extent, but you still choose to film this show with this man. You know what I'm saying? You're still giving him a platform and you're the one person on the cast who has some type of control of what happens with the cast and who gets a platform, how much someone's filmed. So I want Melody to kind of let go of it. I don't think it's worth her, what if you could call it, a friendship with Kimmy, because you still kind of coming at her husband a little foul. Like I wouldn't question a man that don't belong to me or that's not my friend the way that she was questioning Maurice.
I somewhat see what you're saying. I do, because Kimmy at some point comes to the table, listen to both Melody and Maurice go back and forth, and then the banter is she includes Kimmy in the conversation. Kimmy, I was just saying that with Maurice's situation, I just want him to, be more responsible for what he did instead of, just making it seem like it's not a big deal to have a DUI and all this. And well, Maurice said, Kirby, he said, yeah, basically she attacked me about having all this situation about my arrest and tried to imply, and Melody stopped him before he went any further. She got, I did not attack you. That wasn't an attack, and it wasn't. But, Melody, it was funny because she just laughed it off and was like, okay, so he clearly wants to be a victim right now. So she gets up and walks away. And as that happens, Marquez joins the table and he goes, "Hey, y'all, I'm the father. I'm Marquez. Hi, or the husband, whatever you guys want to call me. It's, it's still strange to me too and everything." And as he's, trying to get more advice, now, Marquez, I spoke up for you last episode with this because I can understand being in the uncomfortable environment and having elder people there, maybe getting some wisdom from them. I totally get it. But now you're going overboard with this. So much so that his son is over there watching him and pulls him from the table and told him, like, hey, don't do that here. Let's not do this. Let's not get into it. And Marquez like, oh, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't talk. And he goes, no, just let it go. Leave it alone. It's going to be all right. And they hug it out. And then Kim pulls him to the side. And this is where things go left for me because I'm like, okay, I wasn't on Ken and Trisha's side now. And this what makes me completely just go ham because I can't believe this man. So he says, look, my intent right here was, to make sure that, you're welcomed and everything like that. And, I just want to make sure we push forward. And Marquez is saying, like, I just want, he goes, it's weird for me because, I see my kids, you got this house, you got the woman, you got everything. So it's just, strange for me and all this just being in this space. And he goes, well, maybe if you were more present, in your kid's life and everything, maybe things wouldn't be this way. And Marquez hit him with what do you have biological children of your own? And Kim was like biting that bottom lip again and was like, I can't believe this man just said that. And when he said, because at first I didn't know where Marquez was going with this. Yeah, at first I did not pick up. I was like, okay, why are you saying this? And then when he followed up with, for a man, you're supposed to come up and introduce yourself to the father of the kids. That's how I was raised and everything. And I was like, well, no, that's not how that works. But then when I thought about it, and then when I'm going back to Ken's speech, I understood exactly what Marquez was talking about. And what he's saying is, because you don't have kids and you don't know the circumstances, because technically you are still sleeping with my wife. Technically, you're with my wife and in the presence of my kids home with my wife. No, you're supposed to understand that I'm going to feel away because Trisha is not handling this the proper way when it comes to our situation and then also the kids. Now, y'all can say, well, James, he's not there, he's not present, but we only
We
see 4
cannot confirm that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you picked up on that because I did too. Marquez is not stupid. I think that Marquez gets uncomfortable in front of the camera, which he spoke about in his interview.
Yep.
And I did end up watching it. I was actually intrigued and interested in what he had to say. Now, I think to a certain extent, Marquez is full of poop emoji.
Yes.
He just is.
Absolutely.
He just is. You can't trust everything to come out his mouth. I think him and Trish are liars to a certain extent. But Marquez pointed out a good ass point on Kid. Like, you don't know what it means to be married. You just knows what it means to sleep with other married women. But you don't know what it means to actually sign those papers, pay that fee, change your last name, and attach to someone's credit. You don't know what that means. You don't understand it, and then you also don't understand having a child. Like, I don't have kids myself, and yes, there's certain stuff, a lot of stuff people without kids can understand, as people who do have kids, but at the same time there's also that like lack of understanding as it pertains to the love and loyalty that
Yes.
people who aren't parents just will never understand. So Marquez made those good points. Kim was disrespectful, and Ken is also wishy-washy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's wishy-washy with Marquez. I wish Marquez would like raise up off them people, and I feel like the older boy when he pulled his daddy away, I feel like, because kids are smart and they hear everything. I feel like he sees his mama for what she is and Ken for what he is. He still loves them and he not gonna pick a side. The boy is smart. But I definitely think he probably hears and sees things that we don't see that makes him realize, like, nah, dad, get away from these people. You cannot trust them. None of them.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100% because to me, I feel like this whole thing was to make Marquez look like what they're projecting he is. And when it wasn't landing that way, they're going to keep continuing to reiterate that he wasn't a present father, that he was not there. Even Trisha in this same conversation was also trying to imply that he's not there and that he can stop in. He wasn't there for her during the marriage. And he actually said out his own mouth, I was there for you when your parents died. I was with them when they were on life support, when they were in the gurney. And Trish, got the stuttering, and that's how I knew she was full of shit then. Because she got the stutter, no, you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do this. And it got so bad that even Trish's sister had to come up to her and she said, Marquez, it's okay, baby. That's what her sister said. So I was like, oh, okay.
Because the sister probably recognizes him for being there. What I feel like is Trish probably experienced loss and that probably impacted her and did change her. What I don't like is using your loss in a way to manipulate others into viewing him and being as angry as him as she is. That's not okay. And that's what I get from Trish. Like, that's my professional and personal opinion. Uh, I did. She Trish has a lot of pain and she has a lot of work to do on herself. I think she could definitely benefit from therapy, even a life coach. She could benefit from so much. But how defensive and angry she got, that let me know when he calls out her lie and she's made to look a certain type of way, it seems like that's where she gets mad.
Absolutely. And I saw that as well. So Trish walks away from them because Ken said, hey, we can't do this here. Like, we can't do this. So she goes and sits at the table with everybody. And she was like, she was flustered. She was everything. And Mel says, I think you're still in love with him. And I
Thank you,
laughed.
Mel.
I laughed
Thank
because I
you.
thought the same thing. I think she is too. I think because he won't be the man that Ken is, which is the provider, which is, whatever Ken is projected himself to be on the TV. I think she's angry because he's not that kind of guy that she wants. I think she definitely still loves him. I think that that's why
That's
she's so
his
angry.
only flaw, personally, that I
Mhm.
feel that she has. Because he clearly has a relationship with his kids. So she act like he's not there, doesn't provide. I feel like it's like the classic, like, artist wants to be traveling on the go, always moving careers. He doesn't provide her with stability at
Yes,
all. But look how comfortable Trish was acting a fool with her kids. They showed them babies, not just her kids, other people's kids there, but in front of her own kids. Talk about their daddy like that in front of them, arguing with him in front of him. He did not get loud.
right.
It was them. So I'm like, if them kids done been seeing this, I'm telling you, Trisha's the problem, I think.
I'm starting to see that too. I wasn't going to say she was the problem because I don't want to put that all on her because Marquez shares some responsibility in this as well. But I feel like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on here. I feel like she still loved that man. And, and then she also mentions to Mel that she told him about the divorce paper, how she already got them notarized. And Mel said, I told you not to say nothing. Like, why would you do that here? And that's because that's the one up him. That's the
She's
one up
vengeful.
him.
She's vengeful as hell.
Yes, and she's vengeful. She's like, oh no, I'm gonna hit him what I heard because I know deep down he doesn't want to let this marriage go because he probably thinks there's still a chance. So I'm going to crush him at all costs to let him know, no, I signed those papers. I don't have no emotional attachment to this no more. I've been checked out, and that's where she was coming with this. And I do agree that she's checked out, but I don't think she's checked out in the mental capacity. I think she's checked out in the physical capacity because something tells me that Ken and potentially Martell wasn't the only time that she may have stepped out. Allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly because it's given she's probably done this before and finally found somebody that was able to stick better. That's all. That's what it gives me. I could be wrong, and I don't really care one way or the other because I don't like her. But at the end of the day, how she's moving, it gives that you're not over this man the way you project yourself to be. Is there anything else you want to add to this, Mrs. Best?
No, I agree with everything you said.
All right, we're gonna move on. So the next moment is we have a scene with Tisha. She invites Kimmy and Trisha out to lunch, and when they get there, they fill them in on the party because Tisha and Marceau were not there. And she's like, well, what I missed? And apparently, I guess what we didn't see on camera, may or may not, is that Trisha was going around talking about she was going to slap Marquez and slap Melody. And I was like, oh, I would have loved to have seen that conversation happen. Please address that at the reunion, Carlos, because I want to see how that conversation started and what we missed. But she was just saying, "Oh yeah," and Melody was getting on my nerves, talking about there was sexual tension and all this. And it was funny to me because I had met up with Mel, and she seemed pressed about Martell, asking me questions about whether or not I was at their house and what house it was and everything. And I'm looking at her like, "Well, why are you so mad about that and everything?" Now let me explain something to y'all. At first, I felt the same way. I did feel Melody was pressed. But what I had to do is I had to go back to that table. And Melody didn't say anything. It's because Stormy and Destiny were pressuring Latricia about that information about her lying. So what I felt Melody was doing was Melody was trying to expose to Trisha the friends that she has in Destiny and Stormy and how like and trying to make a parallel. But because Trish couldn't get her lie straight, they never got to it. That's how I felt because it was kind of like I didn't know where Melody was going. And the second thing could be she really was trying to figure out if Trish was probably, sleeping with Martell. She was probably trying to figure that out too, because if I'm bringing you on my shit, on my show, and you just slept with my husband, and you didn't say nothing to me about it, or the potential that you was at my marital home, oh yeah, we definitely gonna have issues because I need to figure out if I want you in my space or not. Because that's too close to comfort for me. We're not finna we're not finna be comparing stroke sessions and stuff like that. We're not just gonna do that. So I didn't blame Melody for that, but to me, it kind of felt like she was trying to expose Destiny and Storm. That's what I felt like, but because Trisha couldn't get them lies straight, they never got to it. Mrs. Best, do you think I'm on to something or you think I'm reaching?
I mean, it makes sense. Me personally, I feel like Melody cares. I think she's still impacted and mad that her marriage ended personally. So I feel like it's more so like she want to know because you own her show. But it could be anything. I want Latricia to go away.
I do too. So then we get on the topic about Kimmy and that conversation that Mel had with Maurice and how, Tisha let out the bad that they also had this conversation. And so did Trisha. Now, I didn't remember her having that conversation with Trisha and in her mentioning the lipstick thing or even Maurice. I think maybe they cut that out. But Tisha was like, yeah, I don't know why she brought up that that Maurice had on lipstick and everything on his shirt and all that kind of stuff. And Kimmy was like, yeah, I don't know why Mel would do that either. It's implying that you know some information that I don't. And that, and the gag is that we talked about it and she never mentioned it to me. But here's the thing. Maurice was with me, so I knew exactly where he was. Now I said, now Kimmy, what we not gonna do on Oprah's network and Beyonce's internet is we not finna sit up here and watch you just blatantly just lie like that. Because in that conversation with Maurice, you said you didn't know where he was and you drove by the office to see if maybe he fell asleep at the office. And then you got a phone call from the county's office saying he got arrested. So how did that turn into you didn't know where he was to him being with you that night? I need Mrs. Best, I need you to explain that to me because I was like, no, that's not what you said initially. You said you didn't know where he was.
As a wife that loves her husband, Kimmy, I see you, girl. I do the same thing for my husband. Yeah, he was with me. That wasn't him in the car. That's right, officer. You a liar. He was never there. He was up in these guts. Kimmy said, he was with me or I got nothing else to say. And she didn't even catch it. She tried. I wish she would have executed it better, but I can't blame her.
I mean, I guess I see your point, but at the end of the day, she should have stuck with that story versus rewrite history and making it seem like she knew it this entire time when she said in the previous couple episodes when they brought this up that she didn't know where he was and that she was scared and that she went by the office and didn't see he was there. It's no, I'm sorry. Kimmy lost me on that one because that's not what she said. So therefore, I get what you're saying. She needed to defend her husband at all costs, but I wouldn't have rewrote history like that. Especially, I would have started with that same story. But oh yeah, I was with you that night. I know you didn't do nothing. Like I would have kept that facade going, regardless of what the blog said. So the fact that she didn't do that, It's like, no, you're not gonna pull the wool over our eyes. So Tisha tells her that you need to have a conversation with Melody because we all agree that we're not gonna let things fester. That if things are, coming up. Hey, Shawnee, thank you for joining us, love. We appreciate you. I'm well. Thank you for being here. But yeah, she basically tells her she needs to have a conversation with Mel. So we'll know that that's going to happen and come up. So we'll get to that in a moment. So the next thing we see is Chris and Nell Fletcher. They're doing, I forgot what that is called. And I want to do it too, but I forgot what that's called. But they're doing an activity and they stop. And what he mentions is that Lance came by the house telling him that Nell does not want to have their 30th anniversary party anymore. And he wants to know why she would tell him that. And so Nell, in her very subtle, very emotional voice, said, she had to bail Chris Jr. out of jail 3 times. And the money that she had for the budget when it came to the party they want to throw had to come back some. So she said she didn't want to have a big old party. And then also, she's thinking of her mom because her mom passed away on their 25th anniversary. And it's getting harder and harder. So when she wants to plan the 30th anniversary, she says she doesn't have the mental capacity to do so. And she told Lance that initially. And Chris was like, we could still have a party. Like, money's not going to be a problem. Like, it's not the issue. And she said, yeah, but for me, like, there's more going on than just the money part. It's my emotional state of mind. Do I really feel up to having that kind of party right now, knowing that this is the anniversary of my mother's death? Now, I did see both sides of it. I did see both sides because I lost a parent this year, and that day is always going to haunt me. And I was going to get to that, Shawnee. I'm about to get to that in a minute. And also, but I do understand what that's like. And I understand because this month is my father's birthday is on the 30th. And I'm going to be an extreme mess that day because this is my first year not being able to call my father or not see my father and tell him happy birthday. So I totally get it. And this is Christmas time too. It's the worst possible thing. So I fully get now. I do. But like Shawnee said here, ma'am, the 4 of your children are all grown, all able-bodied. He was a manager at the warehouse he was working at. What happened with that? Was that before or after that conversation happened? Did you recently just bail him out of jail? And this is what, like, I need more context now because I could have sworn, I'm gonna go back and watch that episode because I could have sworn he said he the manager at the warehouse, everything was going well and everything like that. So I need to know if this recently happened now. Because now I'm starting to look at her like, didn't you just tell your kids and make this big old fuss? And Dr. Francis had to come out and saying you're not finna do nothing for these kids. And if it's only gonna be for your grandbabies, his kids got to figure it out. So if your kids got to figure it out, why are you still bailing them out of jail? Oh yeah, I forgot about that too. Yeah. So, Mr. Vest, how did you feel about this conversation?
Listen, condolences to her. And why are these people on this show? All they do is complain about their family dynamics and what's going on in family. And we never get to see the stuff play out. We just see them complain and then try to talk. I I don't care for the storyline. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be heartless. I swear I'm a good person, but I don't care for the storyline. I just don't.
I don't
Nell
either.
and Fletcher is going to be okay. I believe their children will be okay. And I respect their businesses, and the things that they do. And I don't need to see them on this show. That's all.
I don't mind them being on the show, but I need when they come on camera and stuff, I need clarity to these situations
They
because
need to be friends of if they're not going to give clarity.
right, because I need clarity because Neil acted like she just bailed him out yesterday, and she's having this conversation with Chris Fletcher today. Like, I'm hoping this ain't no old shit that she's putting out here, and that this boy ain't been in jail in a year or so. Like, I need this to be recent. Like her saying all of this. Now, I get throwing an anniversary party is a lot. Like, we just did one for my grandparents. They celebrated 65 years, which I love. But yeah, it is a lot. So I'm wondering, like, realistically, did she like not have like I'm on another money situation now because that's another thing that she keeps touching on where she keeps saying they making her
They
broke.
act like they broke. And
Yeah,
I'm kind of like, okay, well, you guys have multiple businesses, and Fletcher seems to always be selling houses. So I don't understand why she's so broke. And then she did kind of make it seem like he could help and got her, but she want to have her own money for herself. It's just another example of me of Nell whining about some stuff that she could easily fix or that most people don't have the privilege to whine about. Um, Again, I don't
Well, I
care
was
for
gonna say
them
they
on
have
that
a
show.
nice home. They both got nice cars. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out like what are we not seeing? Are y'all in a whole bunch of debt? Like, what are we not seeing? Because is Chris not really selling the houses that he's putting himself out? Was him opening this business put a hindrance on y'all finances? Like, what is it? Because y'all keep complaining about this same issue, but it's not landing the same way. Like it's just not. So I'm trying to figure it out as a viewer and someone who recaps the show. I'm just trying to figure out now, Chris, I have to explain this to us because maybe it's a storyline for the show, and maybe we're just feeding too much into it. But if it's a storyline, it has to make sense, right? Or am I misreading the situation? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Maybe I could be misreading it. Maybe, but I want her to stop complaining about these kids and stop bailing them out of jail. Keep look, ain't gonna. She said she had to do it 3 times. It wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been the third time. Maybe not even. It depends on what he did. But after that second time, if you want to go back to jail, you gonna sit up in there, and I'll come get you when I feel like it.
No, no, no. Let me say this. And my cousins, God, I love them. I got some cousins that like to go to jail. My first cousins, we very close. He called me from jail. Cousin, how come you don't bail me out? Nell chose to bail that boy out. My blood relatives, I went to jail some years ago. My mama would not bail me out. Sometimes you have to think of it as if you do the crime, then you need to do the time and you need to figure out your own bail money. That type of thing. There's no reason that she should have to be doing that. I just want them to go away. I'm sorry, James.
You ain't about Jasmine. I told y'all. I want Tiffany back on the show. I like bring Tiffany back, please. I need better mess than this. I do. I need better mess than this because I feel like if Tiffany was on the show, we would get straight answers out of Trisha. And we would get the answers that we need because Tiffany ain't gonna let no money sleep. I'm telling you, I miss Tiffany on the show. I really do. I miss her a lot. The last scene we're gonna talk about is Kimmy and Melody meeting up. Since Trisha's party and her bringing up this DUI situation to everybody, and Kimmy basically said, I want us to be on one accord with this. Like you bringing up the whole lipstick thing. I talked to Trisha. I talked to Tisha, and I just want to let you know why did you bring that up? And Melody's like, I don't feel like I need to. I don't need to bring that up because, you already got the answers from them. So what do you need me to do? Melody denied that she said it. And she goes, well, Kim's like, well, I just want to let you know that it's not cool. And I don't feel like you should have went that far and everything. And Mel was like, well, so you don't want me to ask questions when I have them? Like, what is going on here? And I'm like, yes, Melody, get their asses. Because y'all, I know y'all gonna hate me for this, but I loved Melody's response to Kimmy. I did. Because why are you confronting me about some situation about what I said? And the problem is that when it came to her, y'all were grilling her about Martell, and so now that the shoe was on the foot, y'all can't take it. So she pretty much, so she was like, so is that what you do with your other friend group? Meaning Shanita and then probably. Is that y'all just go around just talking about us and everything like that? And Melody was like, I just think that is hilarious. I don't feel like I need to open up to you about anything. And we'll just leave it at that. And I said, baby, if Mel don't do one thing, she know how to checkmate y'all. Make you look stupid because all Kimmy could really do is just say, don't talk about me in the press. Oh Lord, my mom is sorry, y'all. I didn't know that game was still on. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, I was loving Mrs. Best. How did you like Mel's response to Kimmy in this whole situation?
On one end, I'm like, if Mel considers Kimmy a friend, talk to Kimmy, not everybody else. I can't blame her for not wanting to bring up the red lipstick to her. I can't blame her for that because Kimmy would have just tried to say she's projecting what happened with her and Martell onto
Yeah.
her, or she would not have accepted it at all. So I can't blame her for not saying that. But she did at least try to talk to Kimmy. I wasn't mad at her. I really wasn't. Part of what turned me off to this show was how, like, kind of heartless they were. They lacked so much empathy when it came to her situation with Martell, in my personal opinion. So It is what it is. Kimmy coming to talk to her about things that are already being insinuated online and whatnot. Mel is picking it up from online. So these rumors have been out there. You're only mad at her. So I kind of feel like Kimmy was trying to like kind of get her to be like, you need to fall in line, as in, don't talk about this as a cast. We shouldn't talk about this. It seemed like she wants everybody to just protect Maurice, but whether the case was dismissed or not, nobody would have pulled you over if you was just driving correctly.
Absolutely. Or if you didn't drink at all and drive and just get you an Uber. I don't understand you reality TV stars and having money. Apparently, we see them in Lamborghinis and Rolls Royces, Maurice. So you mean to tell me you can buy them kind of cars, but you can't get you an Uber to get you home? Okay. And also not to mention this was during the day when this happened. I think they said allegedly that the police report said that people were over at 12 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. So I'm trying to figure out, why are you drinking so early in the day? Why is this happening? But I felt like Kimmy was trying to deflect Maurice, and I felt like if it was one of them situations where I could see if it wasn't something he did personally, and it was a crime that like he's happened to be at the wrong place, wrong time. I could see Kimmy having a point then. But what I can't see is like, y'all did this to her season 1, season 2, season 3, and y'all kept on insinuating things. Y'all kept on putting this and kept trying to throw Martell in her face. So the moment Maurice is in the scandal and she's pointing out something that was obvious about him having red lipstick on his lips, now all of a sudden, oh, that's off limits, or what are you trying to insinuate? Because I was there, or whatever Kibby tried to make up in that story that nobody is buying. It's like, no, you're getting your just due the same way you did her. Y'all don't like, that's why I say, y'all don't like the shoe being on the other foot, but at the end of the day, y'all have to be careful how you move. Because it wasn't so much that it was Kimmy, but it was Maurice, it was Tisha, it was Marceau, it was all of them trying to insinuate that first season of him cheating and him getting that girl, that BMW, and all this kind of stuff. Y'all were throwing it in her face constantly. So now that she's doing the same thing to y'all, now y'all all want to have problems with it. Hypocrites. All of y'all are hypocrites. But that was pretty much the show. Mrs. Best, anything you want to add?
I agree. They are hypocrites.
Absolutely. And hey, but it was an okay episode. I don't know where they're going. I don't know how many more episodes they're gonna have into this reunion. I do know that they did film the reunion already, so I'm hoping we get there soon because I can't wait to drop this show, y'all. I don't even want to do Love and Marriage Detroit because this is not going anyplace. Carlos Family Empire Houston, where is it? That's all I want to say. Where is it? So we can get, because I'm telling you that show is so much better. But that's it, you guys. Thank you for being here. Happy Sunday once again. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe to me if you are not subscribed and you watch my channel. Please subscribe. It's free 99. There's nothing you have to do for it. Just click one button and that's it. Let's get my subscriber count up. Let's like the video while we at it. And let's, especially if you had a good time. But thank you, Mrs. Best, for being here. And I will see you guys on my next recap, which will be tomorrow. Married to Medicine and Real Housewives of Potomac. See you soon. Bye-bye.